I don't want to tell you that God is a genie, that you can go to Him and He will give you a new house and a new car and a new life and everything will be perfect from then on. Because I don't believe that that is true. Life is hard. Life is a daily grind. We get to struggle from month to month, from salary to salary, a salary that runs out before the month is over. You know, just struggling to survive and provide for our families and help our kids get started in their lives. That's overwhelming by itself for the majority of us. And turning to God doesn't change that. You know, it doesn't, no matter how earnest your prayer is, or how much you believe, or how much you lay at His feet. Oftentimes, our circumstances do not change. It stays the same. It stays the same struggle. Oftentimes, the medical report doesn't change. We're still sick even though we take it to God. So I don't pretend that I understand everything, or why the world is the way that it is, why there's so much unfairness and trauma and kids getting raped. I don't understand why that is, why there's so much pain, but what I do know is that there is a God. And a lot of times in my life where I struggled to find God with my emotion, or where it just didn't make sense, I just couldn't find a loving Father. Just from a logical perspective, as a scientist, when I look at the evidence of a creator in modern science, the more we learn about the world, the more it points towards a creator. Our universe had a beginning, a single point of origin, and something outside of time and space caused that. Something that's bigger than our universe, immensely powerful. That caused it. Time had a beginning. There's evidence of irreducible complexity and design in our bodies. Our DNA is the most complex language, and saying that it's an unguided process, merely time and chance that miraculously built this incredibly complex world, that's not logical. That's a lie from the enemy. The enemy has two main lies for us. One is that there is no God, and the second is that the God that there is not good. And He's very good. He was that way from the beginning, into getting us to believe that, getting us to believe the lie that you're somehow less intelligent, less capable of critical thinking when you believe in God. That there's a separation between science and God. There's not. There's no separation. The Christian religious spiritual worldview is closer to the evidence in science than an atheistic worldview. There's no contrast. And then this aspect of, yeah, maybe there is a creator, but like Einstein, he's certainly not a personal God who hears petitions and hears prayers. That part is harder to understand or to trust, even for me, somebody who's been walking with Christ my whole life since I was a child. I wasn't spared trauma, I wasn't spared pain, I wasn't spared rejection. I've done horrendous things, I've done selfish things. Even my best works, you know, the good things that I do, where I kind of pat myself on the back and say, wow, that was so great of you. Even those works come from selfish motivation. Even helping others to make me feel better. So that's hard. It's hard for me. It's hard for me to make sense of all this. But despite that, despite all my failings, God is with me. He has been with me throughout my life, every step of the way, since I was a child and I can remember. As a teenager, I was able to walk in the field and talk to God like he was a friend. And I saw things change in my life. God opened doors for me that was incredible. Just meeting people at the right time, at the right moment. And somebody can tell me, yeah, that was, again, coincidence, time and chance. I don't believe that. I don't believe that when I pray and I have a godly friend praying with me, and that godly friend sending me a specific text saying, you might be crying today, but tomorrow there will be an answer. Tomorrow you will celebrate. And then that very next day, you get the job that you were praying for. For me, that's more than a coincidence. So both from a logical perspective, I do believe that we have a creator. And even though I don't understand everything in this world, I do believe that this God is personal and he's loving. This was the God who gave up heaven and came to earth. And it's not this postcard, fluffy, pretty cross on a hill, cross on our jewelry. This was real, incredibly brutal, that this God gave up heaven where everything's perfect and he came here to earth knowing that he will be brutalized. He was beaten so badly that his spine was exposed. His intestines were hanging out. He was naked. It's not this pretty Christ image, covered and modest and beautiful flowing hair on the cross. The reality was a brutally murdered, humiliated person. That in Isaiah it says you couldn't tell if that person was a man or a woman, even though he was naked, hanging on the cross. His legs were pieces of flesh were taken from him. The Romans were very good at torturing people to death. They perfected it. And God chose that moment to come back to earth so that he could deal with the separation that there is between us and him. And I don't understand why that is and why he couldn't just do it in another way, but I just know that it is. And that's the most incredible loving thing that could happen. And it did happen. It is true. And getting to know this God is the most incredible, accepting, loving thing that can happen in your life. And he's probably not gonna act like a genie and just grant all your wishes. But he is gonna change things for you. He is gonna step into your situation. The crumbs from his table is gonna fall into your life. And those crumbs are incredibly more than you can accumulate in a lifetime in your own effort. Get to know this God. He's worth knowing.